Hello, welcome everyone. So today we're speaking of a very interesting topic, one that's even new to me. So Dr. Adu, I have so difficulties pronouncing this word, phenomenological. What's the word, Dr. Adu?
Phenomenological approach. So, and you can easily say PA, phenomenological approach. You are not alone. Sometimes it's difficult to pronounce. Yeah.
Yes, I can say phenomenal or so forth, but this one, right? So,
Yes.
if you are also joining in, and if this is your first time hearing about this approach, just let me know in the chat if it's new to you or you've heard of it before, but it's still a foreign concept. Put it in the chat so that we know today, right? So I think this is going to be very interesting for persons like me, Dr. Adu. What is this approach?
The approach is all about identifying people who have experienced something. We call it a phenomenon, right? So they have experienced a phenomenon, and then you want them to share the experience with you, and then you analyze and address your research question that you have. So it's an approach that focuses on analyzing participant experiences, right? It can be experience of drinking a coffee, it can be experience of anxiety, experience of depression, any kind of experience, right? And then what you are doing is that you give them participants a chance to share those experiences with you so that you can analyze and address your research questions. So that's all about the phenomenological approach.
All right. So how is it different from other approaches when it comes to qualitative methods?
So when you look at other approaches like narrative approach, you are giving participants a chance to tell their stories, right? And stories can be the situation that they find themselves in. Story can be their reaction to a situation. But what is so unique about phenomenology is that you try as much as possible to give participants the chance to describe their experience, right? So as we are having conversation, the information that I'm providing, you are experiencing the information. After that, somebody will ask you, what was your experience during the life event, right? And then you describe what you have experienced. So it's more about, instead of focusing on a lot of things, areas related to a phenomenon, you are focusing on only the experience of the participant for them to share that experience with you so that it can make sense and help you to address your question that you have.
All right. So based on what you have said, is it that certain topics are more suited for this approach?
Yes. So one example is that if, let's say, a person has mental health issues and then they are trying to seek for support, you can do a study and find out what are the lived experience of people who have mental health conditions seeking for support, right? So whenever your focus is emphasizing on experience, then phenomenological approach will be the best for you, right?
Okay, thank you. So remember, use the chat just to say if this approach is new to you, if you have know of it before, and also where you're joining us today from. We'll be very curious to know. And if you're watching the replay, where you're based and listening in from, right? So we have just gotten a definition of what approach is. At least for me, it's very enlightening, Dr. Adu. So thank you.
Mhm.
It's a
You're
new approach
welcome.
for me. And if I understood correctly, it's best suited for when you want to find out what's the lived experience of
Mhm.
persons. So certain topics make it more adaptable then to be used,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
in my area of work, when you're speaking about persons from marginalized community, I think this approach would be very good one to hear what
Mhm.
people's lived experiences are, right?
Yes.
So you spoke about AI,
Mhm.
right? And I don't see the connection immediately on
Yes.
how AI can help with the analysis or with this approach that you're talking about, person's subjective lived experiences. What does AI have to do with that?
Think about AI as your research assistant, right? Anything that you have difficulty or you need a lot of time to do it, AI can help you to do that, right? So think about this one. Imagine that you are doing a research, right? and about experience of participants, and you don't know the purpose of your study, or you haven't constructed the purpose of the study well, you are not sure about what the purpose is, right? So you can tell AI, okay, I'm doing this research, I want to focus on it. Can you help me to construct the purpose of the study? AI can help you, especially if you give a specific phenomenological approach that you want to use, because there are two types of approaches. So you have the descriptive phenomenological approach, we call it transcendental phenomenological approach, and also interpretative phenomenological approach or interpretative phenomenological analysis. So imagine that you're doing a study, you have an idea, basic idea about what you want to focus on, but you don't know how to construct in such a way that is consistent with the specific phenomenological approach. You ask AI, and AI will be able to suggest how to construct the purpose of your study. And also your research question, right? What question that you want to really address. And then you can say, this is the purpose of my study. I'm using maybe descriptive phenomenology. Can you help me to come up with research questions that are consistent with the purpose of the study? And the system can provide you that information. So you see how it's the same thing as talking to an expert about your research, and the expert is giving you some information that will help you. You can ask the system the same question. The most important is to be clear about what you are focusing on, to be clear about the approach that you want to use, and the system can suggest information that you can use and also review.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Adu, for giving us a little bit more detail. Now I'm looking in the chat, and I'm happy to see there's someone from Mali. Thank you for joining us. Clover, hi. Thank you. It's nice to have you here. Yes, Gloria from Kenya. Thanks. And thanks for the nice words, Gloria. So for everyone joining in, you have someone from the UK. So thank you so much. And Michael, welcome. Put your questions, comments in the chat. All right. So as I say, feel free to put in the chat. We're speaking today about PA. So you were speaking earlier on how AI can assist you with your research question and basically interview questions and so forth as well. What about like when it comes to the analysis of the data or even data collection, is AI a good assistant for that purpose as well?
Yeah, you can use AI to help you to collect data. There is a software that can help you to, sometimes it depends on whether participant will feel comfortable with the AI asking them questions, right? Imagine that you give the AI system the questions that you want it to ask participant, and then you send them the link to the interview information, and they click on the link, and then AI interview participants. It's possible to do that, but sometimes you have to also think about, will participants feel comfortable talking to AI being interviewed, right? Maybe as time goes on, people will feel comfortable having interaction, their live experience, sharing with the AI. But for now, what is very useful is for you to develop the interview questions using the AI tool, and then meeting participants and then having a discussion with them and collecting information from them. I think that would be very useful, right? And after that, you can also use AI to help you to analyze your data, right?
Okay. All right. Thank you. JP Watkins, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. So Dr. Adu, you were speaking about what I think is an AI agent. So this is AI asking questions and so forth, right? But based on how you have explained the approach to me, is AI equipped to capture like the nuances of when interviewing someone, right? And the whole subjectivity of it. So is this really an approach that you can leave to AI to do the interviews?
Yeah, so it's possible. Let me show you the website of the place that the tool that is being used right now. And I think that as time goes on, a lot of people will feel comfortable. So it's called AI. This is the software, right? So what happened is that when you go to try, right, and then you go to AI interviewer, this one. So you could try it out and see how it happens, right? So this means that you as a researcher are going to use semi-structured interview questions, right? You give the system the questions and the system have interaction with participants. And then based on participant responses, the system will provide further questions, right? It's similar to how human beings does it. So AI is trying to mimic the way we do research. So it's really possible for you to do that. And as I said, the only limitation is that will people feel comfortable using having conversation with the system like this, right? And I think it will take some time for people to feel comfortable. But I think that for now, what could be done is to you doing the risk interview yourself with the help of AI developing the interview questions for you and then having communication with the system. I think it's going to be the best way to do right now, right? So in terms of subjective and objectivity, we know that when it comes to sharing of experience, it's a subjective experience, right? But the thing is that AI is just helping you to make sense of the information. And if you provide AI information about the approach that you are using and how you want the system to analyze the data, it will do things that is similar to how we do the analysis. And you are there to also ask further questions and also ask the system to maybe review the finding and making sure that it's addressing the research questions. So it's possible for you to use AI to do the interview and also analyze your data.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that website, right?
You're
So
welcome.
you can go and check it out. Maybe Dr. Adu, you can maybe type it in the chat so persons can see which link to go to.
Yes.
You're
So
just joining us. We are discussing how you can use AI to assist you in your research. And Dr. Adu just showed us where you can use AI to collect the data for you, to interview persons for you. So, Dr. Adu, you were saying that maybe persons are uncomfortable right now speaking with AI, but who knows? Maybe they feel more comfortable because I would imagine maybe if it's a very sensitive area, a very sensitive topic, maybe they feel more comfortable speaking to AI than a human being that they think might judge them. Who knows, right? So I'm just
yeah,
out there.
it's so true because I think that sometimes, as you said, experience can be sensitive, right? One example is domestic violence, right? It might be a sensitive topic to have a discussion with participants. Imagine that there's a tool where you can have conversation with the system, right? Hoping that nobody is there and seeing your face and having a discussion, but the system is just gathering the verbal kind of communication you are having with the system, right? And I think that, it's true. It will help people to open up and to share their sensitive information that meeting them one-on-one, you might not be able to get that information. Yes. So it's so true. It's possible.
So there's pros and cons of using AI.
Yes.
So, oh, I see there's someone on stage.
Yes. Hi, Mohammed. Can you hear us?
Hello, yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Do you have any question for us? Thank you for joining us.
Yes, and thank you for this insightful session. I have been
Mhm.
following you for a while on YouTube. Thank you for the insightful information that you provide us.
You're welcome. And thank you for following me on YouTube too. So I really appreciate it.
Uh, it's clear that AI tools, such as the one that you have just showed us, have the
Mhm.
possibilities for enhancing data collection and analysis.
Mhm.
But I'm struck by the importance of retaining the human element in this kind of research, especially the phenomenological inquiry. So my
Mhm.
question is, how can we best balance the benefits of AI assistance, as you have called it, and with the crucial role of human interpretation and understanding in this kind of research? Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for your question. I think that the ideal way of doing a research is to go and collect your own data, analyze, and present your findings, right? But because of limited time and resources, you ask yourself, what are the places where, I can involve AI in the, helping me to make sure that I can collect rich data from participants, right? So the human element will be where you have one-on-one interview with participants. But AI can also help you to get ideas about the kinds of questions that you're asking participants. Imagine that you are doing a study and then you want to use interpretative phenomenological approach. And you have the purpose of your study, you have your research question, you have questions that you're going to ask participants, but you are not sure whether they are consistent with the research question that you have. Can AI suggest some questions for you that you haven't thought about? Right. So you are still a leader of doing the research, but the AI is supporting the process for you. Things that you haven't thought about, right? And sometimes the question that you may try to ask participants might be so complex that maybe they will have difficulty addressing or answering. Can AI suggest a simple way of you asking the same question? And AI can suggest that for you. So we see how when we are going through research, right, there are some difficulties that we may face that AI can help you to accelerate the process or help you to address that difficulty, right? And I think that it's not like AI leading the research. You are still leading the research, but there are some places that AI can make it better for you. And so that's what I can see. So there's always a human element. You are not giving all the work for AI to do. So involving AI in doing some of the aspects for you, even make your study richer and make the information that you want to gather from participants richer. Imagine that you have interviewed participants, you have a lot of data to go through. Sometimes it's difficult, you might miss some information from the data when you're developing themes. What about AI helping you to identify information that are significant that can address the research question? And you as a researcher review that information and making sure that they are addressing the research question, right? So you are now a reviewer and a verifier of the information a system provides to you. And that's how we can involve AI so that we can accelerate the knowledge that we are trying to get and develop and contribute.
Thank you,
Dr.
Dr. Abdul. Yes,
You're
Mohammed,
welcome.
did that answer your question?
It does, yes. Thank you for such an insightful response.
Yes.
You're
yes,
welcome.
okay. Yes. I guess my takeaway, Dr. Adu, is at all times, you as the human is the lead.
Mm-hmm.
And AI should always be the assistant. And with two humans, as a lead researcher, you are in charge. So you have to validate, double check everything that the assistant gives. And the final responsibility is with you, the lead researcher, right? So I am seeing a few questions in the chat, and one of them touches on ethics. So JP Watkins asks, how can you ensure that private and sensitive data is not sold or misused?
I always say you have to act responsibly, right? Participant has spent time with you, giving you rich information. So it's your responsibility to protect participant information. So what can you do to protect participant information? I think that the first thing that you have to think about is that, can I take out all identifiable information that will expose who you talk to, right? Like their names and their location and other things that you think that when people get access to the information, it could adversely affect privacy of participants, right? So after taking all the identifiable information, you have to look for a very responsible software, right? Using, right? The ones that have some kind of credibility, like ChatGPT. You can also go to the privacy section there and then the terms of use and everything and see whether your data will be used to train the system, right? And for ChatGPT, you can tell the system or indicate in the setting that you don't want your data to be used by the system. So you take all these actions so that you protect participants. So you have to know whether your data will be used, and then you can decide not to allow the system to use your data. Another one is that when you go through the privacy setting, you can even copy all the information and put it in maybe AI for AI to summarize the main points for you so that you don't have to read everything. So you know that, okay, what is this system going to use my data, right? And then based on that information, you can decide whether you want to use the software or not. You also have to check with your organization or your institution. Find out what their perception or the policies concerning AI use. If they are telling you not to use AI, you shouldn't use that, right? But if they tell you you should use, you have to find out how you're going to use it. Can you use it as a data analysis tool? Can you use it to help you to maybe generate research questions or interviews? You have to think about all these things before you use the AI tool. It's new, things are changing, but as time goes on, we all agree on the best way or the best practices in terms of utilization. But this information will be helpful so that you use it in a way that is responsible.
Yes. So takeaway, check the policy of your research institution or your organization and be guided by that. And if they allow you to, anonymize the data, protect persons' information before you upload. And there are settings you said, Dr. Adu, on some of the software where you can change the settings so that they don't use the data to train, right? In your view, Dr. Adu, is AI better at identifying themes and patterns, especially when you're talking about lived experiences? Can AI do that more efficiently than traditional methods of data analysis?
Yeah, the traditional method will be the best, especially if you don't have a lot of data, right? But it's sometimes, if you want to use AI, it depends on the model that you are using. If you are using old models, then you're not getting a lot of information from it. If your prompts are not good, then you're not getting a lot of information because it's all about the conversation that you have with the system, right? Imagine that you just put the data there and say that, okay, I'm using a phenomenological approach, develop themes for me. You'll get general information. But what about giving the system some background information? That, okay, I'm doing a phenomenological approach. I collected data from these participants, and this is their maybe the demographics for you to get brief information about the study. Can you go through the data first, identify information that are significant, and extract them for me? After the system has extracted, you can say, can you review and make sure that everything is from the data? So you see how continuously asking the system specific question and also questioning the output is the best way of using AI. Not like, okay, so you have to have the skill in asking the system the right questions, and so that you'll be able to get information from the system. And when you go to my YouTube channel, I've talked about how to use the AI tool to analyze your data in an ethical way. So when you search my name, Philip Edu, you can go to my YouTube and get all the information that you need about analyzing your data.
All right. So definitely check out Dr. Adu's YouTube channel. A lot of people are using AI nowadays, but they're not using AI effectively. And to get the best out of AI, you have to get better at your prompts. And prompts is just queries that you ask AI. But instead of saying a question or a query, we say a prompt. So that's not the best practice. The better your prompt, the better your output. Dr. Adu, do you have earlier you were speaking about clarity, that when you're interacting with AI, the clearer you are, the better, and your prompts. Are there any other best practice when someone wants to use AI for their research?
Yeah, I'll be happy to share my screen so that I can, show you. I'm going to use ChatGPT. So you can use the normal GPT-4 if you have a paid version, right? GPT-4o to ask these questions, right? But if you want your work to be easy, I have a software that I created under ChatGPT called Inquiry Guide, right? So this one will help you to develop interview questions. Maybe you are doing a focus group or interview, you can use this software under ChatGPT to develop the questions for you to use to collect your data. So let's do one example and see how you can go about it. Imagine that you are doing a study. You are doing a study, a transcendental phenomenological study, right? And imagine that the purpose of the study is to explore the lived experience of young adults with mental health conditions regarding their help-seeking behaviors in a community with high level of mental health stigma, right? So you see that imagine that you have this purpose, right? And then you have a research question that is consistent with the purpose of the study. Can you tell the system to give you some of the questions that you have to ask participants? What you can do is that you can copy the research question and the purpose of the study and go to ChatGPT and say that, can you develop questions I should ask participants for my transcendental, it's also called descriptive phenomenological approach, right? So for my transcendental spell phenomenological study. And then you can say here, my purpose of the study and research questions. And then you put the purpose of the study and the research question there. And then the system, based on this, the system can generate interview questions for you. So you see how the system is generating an interview question that you have to ask participants. The main question and also the follow-up. Not a follow-up. I think this one is giving you why you should ask these questions. Because you indicated the approach that you are using, the transcendental, the system is going to ask participant question about specific experience, right? And imagine that you are not using AI. You may come up with questions that maybe some of them might not include the things that AI has suggested to you, right? Sometimes what you can do is that if you already have your question, you can ask the system, okay, these are my interview questions. Can you review and make sure that they are consistent with the research question? The system can review and give you some feedback. So you see how the process will be easy if you provide a system the purpose, the research question, and the system will be able to provide you this information. So that's how you'll be able to use this software. And I have another one. This one will help you to analyze your data. So this one is Phenomenological Data Analyzer. So what happened is that you give the system the background of your study and then attach your interview transcript. And then you start asking the system, can you look through and extract information that is addressing this research question for me? And the system will be able to provide you all this information. So I'll put this link there. You can try it out and also provide me some feedback. But I think the lesson here is that without providing the system a lot of background information about your study and being specific about what the system, you want the system to provide to you, you will not be able to get rich information from it. Right. So it's very important for you to be systematic. We call it, last time I talked about chaining prompting, right? So the chaining prompting means that you ask one question at a time and ask the system, when the system responds to your answer or respond to your question, then you, based on the result, you ask further questions. So one example is that maybe you can tell the system for this one, you can tell the system is, can you review the interview questions to make sure they are consistent with the research approach and my research question. So you see, the system has provided you an output. You want the system to do a little bit of reflection. Right. And then it will go through and review and then give you some feedback. Right. So you see how you can easily refine your interview questions based on asking the system to do some kind of self-reflections, right, and provide you some information. Right.
We have 2 more minutes before we go. Dr. Adu, is there a question you want to address? The last question?
Yeah, there's a question here. I listened to your discussion, but I don't see any phenomenological aspect. AI and phenomenology contradict. Can you please respond to this? Okay. So phenomenology, as you all know, is about studying people's experience. They have passed through an experience of anxiety and other things, and then you want them to share their experience with you. What does AI got to do with this one? AI can help you to come up with questions that you want to ask participants if you provide AI system about your specific approach that you are using and then the purpose of the study, right? So there's no contradiction because you are not telling AI to develop experiences for you. AI is just a tool to help you to come up with questions that you want to ask participants. AI is just a tool to help you to make sense of your data, right? You are still driving the research process. You are still making sense of the information that the AI is providing to you. The AI is just playing a minor role in helping you to make sense of your data, right? And so that you'll be able to get rich information to address your research questions. So in terms of the role, phenomenology is playing its role as capturing the experience of participants. AI is helping you to make sense of your data, or AI is helping you to come up with questions to help you to get rich information from them.
Great question, Bahim. I think that was a very good question because in the introduction, I even said, but the approach is about lived experiences and so subjective. What does AI have to do with that? Can AI capture the nuance? But you explained it well that yes, there's no contradiction because you are still the human and the lead researcher in all of this. Now, we're right up on time. Dr. Adu, I'm going to give you the last word before we close.
The future about AI, I think it's all about AI agents. So just think about this one. It might come to pass. Imagine you want to do a research. You have an AI agent. You tell the agent, can you do this research for me, right? Can you gather information, analyze, and present the findings for me? And you just wait for the system to provide you that information. AI will go look for participants, interview them, transcribe, analyze, present the report to you. So I don't know whether what role we're going to play in this one. Will AI take over the research process? What are we going to do at that time? So these are the things that you have to think about. There's a positive side. It's like you still going to be in control because it's like asking somebody to do some job for you and then you have to evaluate. So your role can be an evaluator of the information that are brought to you. You are in control. You are the head of the research. You receive the information and now ask more questions. That's what maybe the role that we'll be playing in the future.
Well said. With that, thank you all for joining in and for your time, and see you at the next live stream. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you so much. Bye.